In this video, I'm going to show you how to monetize your MCP servers using x402. Hi, I'm Ed Zinda, and this is What the Funk. A few months ago, Coinbase released a new protocol called x402. It's built around the existing HTTP 402 error code, and it enables users to pay for resources via API without signing up for any accounts, using emails, OAuth, or any other complicated registration scheme. Even though it's created by Coinbase, it's an open standard, so anyone can implement this, and the standard is basically open to anyone. More recently, Coinbase and Cloudflare, one of the largest internet infrastructure providers in the world, have announced the creation of the x402 Foundation, which is set to help move forward the protocol and help increase adoption. If you want to learn more about x402, I created a video on the subject. You can check it out here. Now, in addition to monetizing APIs, you could also monetize anything that uses HTTP to communicate. And because of that, implementing x402 to allow AI agents to pay for different tools, for example, on your MCP server, is not that difficult. And if you're creating your MCP servers in Go and using the MCP-Go framework, I've recently created a brand new package that you can easily drop into your MCP servers to enable x402 payments. Before we continue, if you're new around here and you enjoy videos on AI, coding, blockchain, etc., make sure to like and subscribe and to hit that bell notification icon so you can stay up to date whenever I post a new video. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So real quick, we are going to be using the MCP-Go x402 package, which is just a companion package for the original MCP-Go package. So we'll use MCP-Go to do most of the heavy lifting for creating the MCP server, but we'll add the x402 payments using this MCP-Go x402 package. So here in my terminal, I've created a directory called Premium Joke MCP, where we're going to create an MCP server where we can charge agents that use this MCP for premium jokes. So let's go ahead and do a go mod init real quick. Premium Joke MCP. All right, and now let's go ahead and create our main.go. We're going to need to create package main, and then we're going to need to import a few packages. So let's just do import, and we're going to need the original MCP-Go package plus this MCP-Go x402 package, so we can use the x402 stuff. And I'm going to pull in these packages real quick using go mod tidy. Let's restart our LSP. All right. Now we need to create a main func, and we're going to need some flags because we're going to run this on the command line. So we just need basically a pay to flag. And so if you watched my last video, you understand that the way x402 works right now is that users pay each other in stable coins denominated in USD. So there's a cryptocurrency called USDC. It's basically one-to-one value with the US dollar, and you pay directly to crypto addresses. Now, this is just how x402 works right now, as it's very new, but in the future, there's going to be all kinds of different schemes and ways for agents to quickly pay each other without any sort of mediator like Stripe. But crypto is just the no-brainer way to start this. So right now, paying with USDC is the way to go. The flag we're going to have is called pay to, and it's going to be flag. We need to import that. It's going to be a string, pay to. It's going to be empty because we want someone to set it, and say payment wallet address. It's going to be a var, and we want to do flag.parse, and this is going to check for that flag when somebody runs this command. Next, we want to check to see if somebody actually passes this flag. If they don't, we're going to exit because we need this. So next, we want to configure our server. So we need a configuration struct. And so to configure an x402 flavor of MCP server, we're going to need what's called a facilitator URL. Verify only is if you want to do testing. So if you don't want to actually spend money while you're testing, you can actually verify payments against the facilitator and allow payments to go through. And then there's this verbose. So to start off, we are going to want to set the facilitator to a public facilitator. There's a public facilitator called Facilitator x402 RS. And this is a facilitator implementation written in Rust. And just a TLDR of what a facilitator is. When a server sends a request for payment, the client will submit a signed message that gives the server to collect payment in exchange for the service. The facilitator's job is to verify that signature, saying, yes, this is a valid signature of payment and it will actually be executable on the blockchain. So it can verify and it can also actually settle. So you can call verify first, and if the verification goes through, you can go ahead and submit that signature to a live blockchain where it is settled and the money is transferred from the client to the server's requested wallet. So the whole point of the facilitator is to verify and settle these payments, and that's it. Verify only, we're going to set this to false because I want to actually see payments go through. And then we're also going to do verbose of true. Next, we want to instantiate our server. So this is going to be an x402 server.new x402 server. We're going to call this premium joke MCP version 1.0.0. And then we're just going to pass in the config. And all this does is, if you're familiar with the MCP-Go framework, this literally just wraps the original MCP-Go server type in x402 server. So what it's going to do is whenever anybody makes a call to this server over HTTP, it's going to intercept any 402 error codes and handle those appropriately. So the next thing we're going to want to do is add a tool. And the one tool we're going to add is a premium joke tool. And so the way to do that with this x402 package is we add a payable tool, which wraps an MCP tool from MCP-Go. So we can do new tool, and this tool is called premium joke. And then we can do all the normal things that you normally do with the MCP-Go package. So we need a description, provides a premium joke, and we don't take any arguments. So I think that should be it. The next thing we want is a handler. So let's go ahead and create a handler down here. The handler needs to be a function, and we'll just call it joke handler. The handler should take a context, which is going to be of type context, and a request, which is of type mcp.call tool request. And then it should return mcp.call tool result or an error in the case of an error. Just to stub this out, we can just create a new struct, set up some content. The content is going to be, let's check this real quick. It looks like it needs to be a slice of content. So mcp.content and then mcp.new text content. And for now, we're just going to do funny joke, and we'll implement the rest of this later and return nil. So now we can go up here. We've got the tool, we've got the description, and then we have the handler. So add the joke handler. And the last thing, we need to set a price. So whenever anybody calls this particular tool, we can set a price per use. So every time that someone calls it, they're going to have to pay. And the great thing is you can create like some very small payment, like 1 cent or even less than 1 cent. And this allows you to monetize your MCP servers. And at the same time, users don't have to sign up for any sort of account or create an API key. They literally just authorize a very small payment. The payment goes through quickly and easily, and you can provide your service in exchange for that payment. So the way to do that with the x402 add-on is we run x402 require, and we have a helper called require USDC base. Coinbase has their own blockchain called Base, and it's super fast. Fees are 0. So whenever you send any payments through this scheme, doesn't matter who's sending it, the client doesn't pay any fees, the server doesn't pay any extra fees. You're literally sending 1 cent from one person to the other, and you're not dealing with something like Stripe where they take like 30 cents plus a percentage of your fees. With that kind of thing, it's virtually impossible to do any sort of micropayments. But the cool thing with x402, you can do these types of micropayments. So we're going to require a payment of USDC base, and then we want the money to go to a specific address. So we're going to go to this pay to address that we set in the flag, and then we're going to say 10,000, but in reality, this is only 1 cent. The weird way that cryptocurrency values are represented most of the time is in super large integers. USDC has a maximum of 6 decimal places. So if you look at it like this, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you add another 0 there's a decimal place, that would be 1 cent. But this is how you would represent that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that checks, that is 1 cent. And then you just give also a description of the payment required. And this is what is sent to any client that's paying via or compatible with x402. So we're just going to say premium joke service and then 0.01 USDC. And that's how you add a payable tool. I do seem to have some sort of error here. It looks like it went away. All right, so we have a payable tool, and let's go ahead and add a simple non-payable tool. And so this is just an echo tool. So whatever you send to this tool is just going to echo it right back to you. Now let me add this comma here and a comma here. All right, so whatever you echo is going to echo back to you. And I named that wrong. This should be server.addTool. So you can add normal non-payable tools just like you would if you were using the original MCP-Go framework. So we've got this echo tool and we need an echo handler. All right, I apologize. I added this joke handler originally inside of the main func. It should have been added outside of the main func, so I've moved it down. And I've also moved this echo handler outside as well. So this echo handler handles the echo tool. So when a client requests the echo tool, we parse the message argument. And if the message is empty, we show an error that there was no message. If there is a message, then we print this echo statement as the response, and then we return this as a call tool result as normal. So we have both tools, the payable and the non-payable tool. So in order to interact with this, we're going to have to create a client. As of right now, I don't know of any consumer-ready clients that handle x402 requests for MCP servers, but the great thing is a lot of these libraries, including MCP-Go, will allow you to create agents that can communicate with x402 compatible MCP servers. So the next thing we're going to build is a client that goes ahead and connects to this server and can call the premium joke and respond accordingly by paying for the premium joke. And I'll show you that full workflow. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create a client directory and a new file in the client directory, main.go. I'm going to create a package, set package main, and bring in a bunch of imports. So the important imports, again, we're going to use this MCP-Go x402 package, and then the client package and MCP packages from the original MCP-Go package. We're going to create a few variables. First one is going to be a private key. And this is going to be a private key to a wallet that contains a little bit of USDC. And this is how we're going to pay for the premium joke tool. And then a server URL. And this is just going to be localhost 8080, which is also the URL of the MCP server when we run it. And so these are flags. So we need to run flag.parse. I forgot to create a main function to wrap everything in. So let's create a function main. Let's also go into this client directory, run go mod tidy. We start the LSP, and all right, back down here, we want to pull in this private key. If the user doesn't enter the private key, then we're going to error because we need this. Next, we want to create a signer. The signer is going to be created using this x402 package that we imported. And we're going to use the new private key signer, which takes the private key. And then we're also going to set the type of payments we're going to accept. So depending on your agent and depending on your goals, you may only allow your agent to work with MCP servers that allow payments on Base, for example, or you want to work with MCP servers that allow payments on Solana or some other chain that comes in the future. So here's where you set what you're going to allow payments on, or what you're able to make payments on. So we're going to go ahead and accept USDC Base, which is just the same as what we set up in our server. We can set a priority if we want to have multiple. So you can do something like set priority as 1. So if the server allows for multiple different payment methods, you're going to default to USDC Base. And then what you can also set is maximum amounts. So you say you don't want to drain your agent when you're running these things autonomously. So you can do something like with max amount, and here would be, I don't know, 50 cents. Yeah, so that is about 50 cents. So if there's some tool that has more than 50 cents, we don't want to allow that. And then we also can set this with minimum balance. So we want to keep a reserve balance of, let's say, I don't know, also 50 cents. I forgot, these need to be strings, and we can indent some of this so it's easier to read. So if there isn't any more than 50 cents in the wallet, we don't want to accept or try to pay for anything else until we top up later. So that's what that means. And let's do that. All right, I think all that is formatted just fine. We don't need that. Here we're going to handle the error. So if there's an error, we just log fatal and then exit out. And next, we're going to set up our configuration for our transport. So this will set the server URL that we get from a flag. It's also got a default, and then the signer that we just created. And here we can create a brand new transport using the new function with the configuration we just created. Next, we can create our client with the transport, and then we can go ahead and start the transport down here and defer close so that it gets closed and cleaned up cleanly when the program exits. And something that you need to do whenever you connect an MCP client to an MCP server, you need to initialize so the client and the server can exchange the capabilities. So we send this initialize request of the protocol version. This is incorrect. It should be MCP something like latest protocol version. And we'll just do x402 client version 1.0.0. And if it fails to initialize, we'll exit. If it initializes, we'll show the details of our connection. Now here, we're just going to list all of the available tools from the MCP server when we connect to it. So we're going to call this list tools method on the client, and then basically loop through all of the tools and then print out their names and their description. So let's go ahead and try and test this out real quick. So I just created a brand new wallet address. We're going to run this server here. I take that back. We did not start the server in our code. So let's go back to the server implementation. The last thing we did was add a tool. We actually need to start the server. So we can do something like this. If error, and we can do server start, and we want to be on port 8080 of localhost log.fatal error. All right, that should start our server. Let's try to start this server. All right, the server has started. Let's see if we can start the client. First, I'm going to set a key. So I've set the private key into this variable so it doesn't show on the screen. I think I imported something I wasn't supposed to import. Yeah, that's not needed because I'm not using environment variables. Let's try to run this again. All right, it connected. We could see that there were some incoming post requests, non-tool calls, and then we can see all the different calls that it made. So tools list is what we called. We have the echo tool and then the premium joke tool. Let's close these terminals real quick. The next thing we want to do is actually call some tools. So first we can call the echo tool. So here we run mcp client.callTool, and then we tell it the name of the tool we want to call, which is echo. We pass an argument, and the argument will be hello from x402 client. And then we check for an error. If there's no error, we can go ahead and print out the response. And so here I basically just copied and pasted the same format of calling the echo tool, but in this case we call the premium joke tool, and it should work. The only thing is I need to add some funds to my wallets, and then once I do that, we can go ahead and test again. All right, now that I've filled up my wallet, let's go ahead and try this. I've got my server running. I've got my key set. Let's go ahead and try these calls. All right, so what happened? We called the free echo tool and then we got the response back. But you can see that in the server, we had a request to call the premium joke. And so the server sent back the 402 error and our client intercepted that, understanding that we need to send USDC to this specific address, this amount on the base network. So it signed a message. It sent that back to the server. The server verified that payment with the facilitator. And then once we verified that, we asked the facilitator to go ahead and settle that. And the facilitator went ahead and submitted that payment on chain. And here we can see a transaction hash showing that the USDC amount of 1 cent was sent to our server wallet. And because that succeeded, the server sent back the funny joke. And just to round this out, I've gone ahead and implemented a little bit of code in the joke handler. As before, we just had a stub. So we're going to call this free joke API that grabs random jokes. Here's the URL here, and then it's just a simple HTTP request that goes through, gets the joke as text, and then we return that as part of our tool call. So we can go ahead and run this again, start my server. I need to set my key again. Let's go into the client directory, go run main.go, set the key, and let's see if this works again. All right, so it worked. We called the free echo tool. It worked as expected. We also called the premium joke tool and paid for it as expected. And we also got a random joke. Here's cat, walks into a bar and doesn't. Haha. All right, so the jokes work, the payments work, and let's go ahead and check this transaction hash in the browser just so you can see that funds are actually moving from one wallet to another. So I'm on Base Scan, which is what you would call a block explorer, and it allows you to see every transaction that happens on a blockchain. So we're exploring the Base blockchain, and I've copied that hash that was returned from our server, pasted it in the search bar, and this is it right here. And you can see this is the address of the key that I had set, and this is me sending 1 cent of USDC, and that's it. That's how you can add x402 support to your MCP servers using Go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. For example, what kind of MCP servers do you want to build and monetize? I'd love to hear from you. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.